Score attack 45 is a difficult one with an enemy that can kill on the first turn everybody on the team. But to compensate for that, it is weak to every element. So we build a strategy around surviving the first turn and then subsequent turns when it does its AoE attack. Toward that end, I used an Adol fire-based team where she has a master skill that allows her to absorb all damage when she's been in the front line at the start of the turn and has the dodge effect active, which is only the case on turn 1 for her swimsuit style. For the sake of a quick comp, I'm equipping default on Luca with strength, Bungo with dex, and Gluck and Int on Mia and Misato. The roles on this team are Luca as fire DPS, Adol for DR, and for her version of Angel Wings, Aoi for her version of Angel Wings, and critical rate buffs and critical damage buffs for killing. Misato for Overwright, which just adds a little bit more fire weakness, but also for fire death down. Mia for fragile and death down, so those two are the debuffers. Bungo is really just here to break and to do a front row. 攻めこそ守りなり今の聞いてるでござるか負けないでき The rules we use to increase the score include that every 5 turns the OD either gets reduced or reset. I'm not really sure which. You'll see with that strategy, it doesn't really matter. After that first move where Adol absorbed the Worlds End Supernova attack, you kind of alternate between her and Aoi performing that role. It's a little bit harder to trigger it specifically with Adol because she needs to be there on the last turn with the dodge still active for her to absorb. I didn't really mention the strategy here, but what our goal is to break with Bungo when the mouth is open so that it can take damage, and then build up DR. So we're not actually using Adol's EX skill until after the DP bar is gone. The other rule for this week is that the DR is greatly reduced, so we'll actually, after breaking, need to use all 7 of Adol's DR building skills, her EX skill. Which means in her case we got lucky, but we do need to equip the fire-specific, blaster-specific accessory, I forget what it's called. Another role Aoi's performing here is building up morale, so she needs to use her morale skill 5 times, which isn't too hard because Mia's master skill gives everybody some SP, and we're going to use a lot of Mia's skills. We're going to use Radiant Nova Plus twice in order to both decrease defense permanently, but also to decrease the attack a little bit, which probably won't matter because we're absorbing most attacks, but it's good to have that. We only really need 1 EX from Mia in order for Mega Destroyer to break, but that's with my Bungos. I think it's LB2. Fortunately, she's not LB4, so all the minions don't give her anything. Now that Bungo's broken, we go kind of crazy. Trying to do a few things. We're trying to build DR. We don't get 2 without some, but we get pretty close. But we're also trying to build OD. Aoi has a EX skill that lets her generate 1 OD, so that's taken care of. But we also need to loop a little bit, which you'll see. So we can see at this rate, we're not actually going to build 1,000 OD with just 7 EX skills from Adol and nobody else really having a good DR skill. So one thing we do is we boost her with Luna, which gives her 5 extra small hits, but the important thing is we add the same amount of DR, I think. I don't really check the math on these things, but instead of 60%, we get 90% DR per attack, 96%, so that's a bit better, so we should be getting closer to our goal. We also throw in Bungo's EX, which is only 7 SP since she has all full minions. which gives a lot of OD and DR, so it's helpful there. We don't really care if anyone breaks because Aoi is able to resurrect everybody with her +1 OD EX skill. We need to keep Adel always fully stocked on her dodge skill to lower the cost of her EX and to allow her attack absorption skill. So just make sure that number doesn't fall below 1, which also the enemy does double attack sometimes, so it could lose it. It lose 2 of the dodge buffs in a single turn. It definitely might feel like we're stalling a lot, but that's because of the decreased DR that we're building. We need to get to 1,000. It's like the single most important thing for achieving a high score. But we also use this as an opportunity to build up the morale from Aoi. We should be done after this turn, I believe. Ideally, we would have put a drive piece on everybody, maybe a blast piece on Adel and an attack piece on Luna. Since we use the default equipment, it's just based on the stats, I think, what it equips. It's kind of random. This Adel style predates when they started giving everybody time-based buffs, so we have just a very big stack of both the fire attack up and fire critical hit up that doesn't get used up until somebody attacks with that element type. We timed the start of these OD loops to turn 11 because turn 11 at the end is a rest turn for the dragon thing, so on turn 12 we'll still be able to continue attacking it. It doesn't close the mouth yet. You do have to be a little cautious of attacking too much because it only has so much HP, especially as we approach the maximum 1000 DR. Our focus now is on actually building up 3 OD gauges while we can, and not to accidentally let the mouth close, so we use a lot of multi-hit attacks here. I just reordered Bungo and Adel because I believe Bungo should do more damage, and I don't want to hurt it too much, as I mentioned already. LB3 here is a little delicate because we need to do a lot of things with Ruka. We need to give her a second Mind's Eye because I forgot to do that, and then we need to give her the hit count buff. That one we can't do earlier because it only lasts for 3 turns, so the timing is really important. We also want to stack 2 accelerations on Ruka, build up all the debuffs and buffs that we need otherwise. Thankfully the fire ones, as I mentioned, are still there. So we should be set after turn 2 for the final turn. At this point, I'm just trying to stretch out everybody's attacks so that we can get as close to 1,000 DR as we can. So Luca should get 2 acceleration buffs here, and the reason I'm using Addle now is because I think Bungo does more damage, and I actually am planning on just pushing the score a little higher by having 2 DPSs go as much as they can on the final turn, with Aoi using her Admiral ability, which is if she doesn't do any action, she gives, I think, like a 10% skill attack buff, which is probably negligible, but every little bit is nice to see. Since we don't have Diva style equipped, Luca's buff is only a small hit funnel, but we don't have anyone else on the team that can do that buff anyway, so that's our only option. If you would rather use Diva Luca, it's possible, since maybe you missed out on the Unison, that you can use her EX1 with Generize, but that's probably a lot harder to pull off.